My neighbor likes to smoke, and so does her boyfriend, and my bedroom is in the back of the house, so whenever her and her boyfriend go into her backyard and smoke together, that smell travels into my window and stinks up my whole goddamn room. It was at its worst during the summer, because obviously during the summer you have your window open more, and she loved to spend so much time outside during the summer, either sunbathing or sitting on her porch having a smoke, and I always had to smell that shit every time I had my window open and she was in the back smoking. It was immensely frustrating because there's nothing much I could really do about it. She's doing it on her own private property, so nothing much I could do to stop it aside from close the window on a hot summer day and go into another room. I've been around cigarettes for practically my whole life. My father was a chain smoker when I was a kid. He still is now. He's tried quitting several times throughout his life. He even tried downgrading to vape like 6 years ago, but that obviously failed like all the other times because when I got back into contact with him last year, he was right back on regular cigarettes. When I would go to his house as a kid, it always reeked of cigarettes. Holy shit. It would be in the furniture, in the air. It just smelled fucking awful in there. And I'm very surprised I didn't catch cancer or contract any other health issue as a result of all the secondhand smoke I was always around. He came down for Christmas last year, and the day after Christmas, I went out with him and his friend who was also a smoker, and going into his friend's car, I was just punched in the face by this really strong smell of cigarettes. It smelled absolutely awful. And not to mention his friend, every time he saw him, he just reeked of that same cigarette smell. Oh, God. It really turns me off from ever wanting to try those cancer sticks. What I hate the most, by far, though, are the people who smoke in public areas, like, say, a parking lot because obviously they can't smoke in the store, or the parking lot of a restaurant because they can't smoke in the restaurant. Basically, people smoking outside in the street because they can't smoke indoors. It is just so insanely inconsiderate, not to mention you don't know the kinds of people who are walking by you. You don't know the kind of health conditions they may have. They may have things like asthma, where, being around smoke is a major, major no-no. And, well, being around smoke is just plain bad. Every time I'm around someone who is smoking, I try my damnedest to not breathe as much because I don't want that shit going into my body, filling up my lungs. And this is something I do every single time I have to walk by someone who is smoking out in public. I even do this with my father. Every time he is smoking around me, when I'm seeing him, I try to keep a healthy distance from him because I really do not want to breathe in smoke. I am very, very, very sensitive when it comes to this. I guess it just stems from the fact that my mother's side of the family has a predisposition to cancer, and that scares me. Many people on that side of the family have contracted cancer. Quite a few have died, including my grandmother last year. She didn't smoke or anything, but she still died of cancer in the lungs. My father battled cancer when I was in middle school, and he beat it, but it could always come back, like it did with my grandmother. She beat cancer, like, 15 or 16 years ago, and it ended up coming back. So that's why I just hate these things with a burning passion. No pun intended, by the way. And this video wasn't intended to come off as elitist or me scolding people who do smoke, because people make their own life choices. If they want to smoke, then have at it, whatever. But at the very least, just be considerate of those around you. If people do not like being around smoke, do not smoke around them. This obviously includes the public. When you're outside in a public area, surrounded by people smoking, there's a pretty good chance that quite a few people don't appreciate that they have to inhale your cigarette smoke when passing by. I hate it, and I'm sure many other people hate it too. Can you just please find an area that is not nearly as populated and smoke there? Please, for the love of God, I do not want to walk by you when you are smoking, and I do not want to potentially compromise my health because some douchebag was smoking in a public area. You may say I'm being overdramatic, and maybe I am, but I inhaled so much secondhand cigarette smoke as a kid, and I'm trying my damnedest in my adult years to limit how much secondhand cigarette smoke I inhale. Do it in the privacy of your own home. I don't care. Hell, even in your backyard, I don't care. Even if it is my neighbor who is doing it, and it reeks up my room, nothing much I could do there. She's doing it on her own private property, like I mentioned earlier, so what can I really do? But In a public area, surrounded by a bunch of strangers. Come on, please don't do that shit. I live in NYC, so this shit happens so much, and I am sick of it. And now that pot is legal here, it's starting to become common with that too. You could walk into a parking lot and it reeks of pot. But let's just say I don't mind that so much. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye bye.